Well, later this morning, Nanaimo City Councilors will consider whether to build a fence around the parking lot of City Hall. It's being recommended by city staff who say there's been a significant increase in drug use and harassment and vandalism there since an overdose prevention site opened next door. Now, staff say a budget of more than $400,000 will be needed for the project, and zoning restrictions will have to be amended to allow for a 1.8 meter high fence. Now, to talk more about this, we are joined by the mayor of Nanaimo. Leonard Krog's been good enough to join us this morning. Good morning to you, Mayor.
Good morning.
Thanks for taking the time with us. We appreciate it. What are you seeing outside Nanaimo City Hall at the moment?
Uh, what we've been seeing for several years now, since the overdose prevention site opened up, various gatherings of individuals at various times of the day, public defecation, open drug use. Unfortunately, many employees have suffered vandalism of their vehicles, certain amount of harassment, all the kinds of behaviors one associates with people who are deep in addiction, trauma, mental health issues, and very clearly often suffering from brain injury as well that's been acquired as a result of overdoses and or perhaps before. It's a sad situation, but it's repeated, as I've said many times before publicly, in every downtown of the province, any community of any size.
And do you support the idea of fencing off the parking lot then?
I'm not going to say how I'm going to vote today. As I've said in other interviews, I remember the days in the 90s when I was a young MLA. You could walk into the BC legislature safely and wander around the corridors. Now you can't get in unless you've gone through incredible screening, etc. I'm not a huge fan of what might be seen as an overreaction to incidents involving people. In this case, however, I need to remind everyone that we have an obligation as an employer under WorkSafe BC regulations to ensure a safe workplace. So we're in a tough spot.
Yeah, okay. We spoke with the vice president of the Nanaimo Area Public Safety Association, Kevin Shaw, and I just want you to hear a little bit because he says it's not just City Hall that needs protection.
City Hall behind me now wants to, in effect, put a moat around itself, a big 6-foot-high fence, because their city staff do not feel safe. So what about the rest of us? There's 104,000 people in Nanaimo. We don't feel safe. We don't. Our businesses constantly are being broken into, have rocks or bricks thrown through their windows. We have people flailing and doing drugs and lighting fires outside of their businesses. Where's the safety for the rest of us?
And so how would you answer Mr. Shaw there?
Well, Kevin and I are friends, so I can say this quite bluntly. Kevin has a message to get out, and he's trying to get it out on behalf of the downtown business people in his particular area, and I appreciate that. Having said that, it's not as awful as he portrays. And with respect, in the last 5 years, we've hired 15 more police officers, created a team of a dozen community safety officers, and have budgeted this year for more RCMP and more community safety officers. The needs and concerns of our citizens are hardly being ignored to the tune of millions and millions of dollars annually. The fence is a suggestion from staff to deal with the particular safety concerns, not just for them, but frankly for the public who come to City Hall, to our major resources building right behind City Hall. That's the area we're talking about. I think the important thing to draw from this story, if you will, is simply this. The street disorder that is seen in downtown Nanaimo, downtown Victoria, and as I say, every community of any size, indeed across this country, is something that needs further solutions. And the senior governments are going to have to do it. Municipalities like Nanaimo, we cooperate as best we can. We provide land for supportive housing, but clearly we need facilities ranging from secure and voluntary care all the way to significant supportive housing numbers. You and I have discussed this before. I've discussed it over and over again.
Indeed. Mr. Shaw, of course, seems a little bit prone to hyperbole there when he refers to the fence as a moat. I don't think it's a moat. At the same time, though, are you not underplaying it by calling it a fence? I mean, this is a $400,000 fence. What is it actually going to be?
It's a fence. It's the proposal is a wrought iron fence that won't be as unattractive as perhaps it might be. But I would remind your listeners that, interestingly, the overdose prevention site is surrounded by a fence that looks pretty much exactly the same and is shut off for great periods of time during the day when the facility isn't open. Island Health had no trouble, and there was no public criticism of Island Health, of course, when they erected the fence around the site, which is operated by the Canadian Mental Health Association.
Sure, but I mean, is there not some symbolism involved here? You know, when you've got
Oh,
outside the fence, you've got businesses that are dealing with the street disorder that comes with, as you say, addiction and trauma and so on. And here's City Hall erecting a fence to keep it out. I mean, what does that say about whether City Hall is hearing the message?
oh, look, I think it's pretty clear with respect that City Hall hears the message. I mean, this council, our city, has been a very loud and frequent advocate for the kind of treatment and care and supports that communities need. The citizens on our street are suffering. They are very unhappy. Most of them live pretty miserable lives. The symbolism, not perfect, but at the same time, the safety of our employees is a consideration that cannot be ignored either on a human or a legal level.
And if somebody else discovers that they have the same thing, a private business, for instance, discovers that they have also some difficulty in keeping their parking lot secure or keeping people out of their parking lot, then it's up to them to, they don't get to take money from taxpayers to build their fence.
No, they don't. And frankly, that has happened in numerous locations everywhere in the community. If you go to the downtown east side, all of those businesses with grates, etc. We have a program in Nanaimo that allows some compensation for vandalism that has occurred, so that, as we know from various news reports, in communities, there's often fires in doorways, including the back door to City Hall, not 10 feet from my office, I might add.
Mm.
Public defecation, all of those things. We are all paying, Stephen. We are all paying. We're either paying through government or we're paying privately. We're paying for the increased price of cost of goods, or getting employees who are prepared to face the safety concerns they do when they go to various parts of every community. Again, I come back to it. We can talk about the responses or we can talk about the solutions. The solutions I've spoken about many times before. That's what we should be focusing on. But I'm glad this story is out in the sense that it continues to
Of
draw
course.
attention to what is the most spoken about topic on taxpayers' lips that I hear over and over every day.
And when you talk about the solution, Mayor, in a nutshell, tell me what you think the solution is.
Look, the solution is to have the kinds of facilities and supportive housing, including secure and voluntary care, that is necessary. We need to have the money for the training, for the colleges and universities, for the people who are prepared to undertake this kind of work. I've said over and over again, dealing with people who have significant mental health, addiction, trauma, and increasingly now brain injury issues is not easy work. It is not for everyone.
Mayor, we'll leave it there this morning. Always good to hear you. Thank you so much for the time this morning. We appreciate it. All right, you take care.
Thank you for drawing attention to the whole issue once again.
Well, and thank you for taking our call. We appreciate it. That is Leonard Krog, the mayor of Nanaimo. And you can read more about this story at cbc.ca/BC. Just go to the local tab on your free CBC News app.